group stage of IEM Dallas has concluded and playoffs are set to begin. We have seen many different headlines throughout this group stage, from Simple having his phase debut to Aurora making the playoffs after flying halfway across the world in just a day notice. There are 5 playoff games set to begin, and let's go through and predict them. Let's start with Falcons versus Gamer Legion. Falcons ended up getting second in the group by being upset by Mouse in the group upper final, while Gamer Legion actually looked a lot better than I was anticipating in this event, where they beat 3D Max in an opener, lose to Vitality, which is against Vitality, best team in the world. Meanwhile, they beat Furia and they beat G2 in 3 maps to get that last spot into the playoffs. Although Gamer Legion have definitely exceeded my expectations for this event, as they have not looked too good in the past couple events that they've played in, Falcons just is way too good, where even in that loss against Mouse in the final, I think I still liked a lot of what I saw, even though the stat sheet doesn't really make it out to be. I think Falcons wins this game pretty handily 3-0. Players such as Monesi, Nico, and Tessus in specific, I think will have a very good matchup against Gamer Legion. Going to the next quarterfinal game, we have the Mongols versus Aurora. My prediction about the Mongols ended up being spot on, where they make the upper final of Group A, but then they lose to Vitality. I will say, however, this is probably the closest that we've seen a team beat Vitality in this crazy 25-plus game win streak that they've had. Vitality is the best team in the world, and to be frank, this might be the best win streak that we've seen in professional Counter-Strike. This might be better than the 60 or 80 some game win streak that NIP had at the start of CSGO. That is how insane this is, and that's just because the level of competition that Vitality have consistently had to beat. Going on to Aurora, I thought they were going to be dead in the water at this event just because they had to travel all the way from Kazakhstan with just 1 day of rest before this event. And at first, I was kicking my feet making this prediction. They lose to Heroic in the opener, but then go on a pretty impressive lower bracket run. Sure, NRG's not really a great opponent, but then they beat Liquid, and then they get their revenge on Heroic in the lower bracket final to get that last spot out of their group. This matchup very well might be the most entertaining matchup we'll see at IEM Dallas. I think it'll be very close, and I think both of these teams are in very good form. However, I think the Mongols will have an ever so slight edge against Aurora in this matchup, and I have the Mongols going on to face Mouse in the semifinals. The first semifinal matchup is probably what a lot of people assumed the grand final matchup was going to be, and that's Falcons versus Vitality. The big question here is that can Falcons finally get over the hump and beat Vitality in a series? They've come very close to it before, but haven't been able to yet. And that's mainly because one of their star players just doesn't show up. I know in my prediction video, I said that in the grand finals, Falcons would finally be able to beat Vitality, but something is just in the air, I guess, while I'm recording this, and I just don't like Falcons in a best-of-3 matchup against Vitality at the moment. So, because of this, I will have Vitality beating Falcons and making yet another grand final appearance. The last semifinal matchup, the Mongols versus Mouse, is a match that I'm not really putting too much thought into after Mouse was able to pull off a pretty spectacular upset earlier on in this event against Falcons. I feel like that pretty much cements them as probably the 3rd, maybe the 4th best team in the world, along with Spirit. I think those two could be interchangeable, but I really liked Mouse through this group stage, and I think that with the extra day off, they're going to be able to game plan against really whoever wins the quarterfinal game, on this side of the bracket pretty well, and they're going to be able to manage against Mongols. And finally, this bracket would then come together to show a Vitality versus Mao's grand final best of 5. Really, I'm going to be honest, I think the only team that can beat Vitality is Falcons, and no other team has a shot. So I think it's going to be a pretty easy 3-1 victory for Vitality. They'll win yet another event this year, and they will keep their streak going into Stage 3 of the Austin Major. My name is Easy. I am a fluctuating level 4 to level 5 North American Faceit player. I am the best.